Did you know the idea for The Last of Us has been around for over 20 years? In 2004, the eventual game director, Neil Druckmann, was studying at a university. He came up with the idea of making a game with the same gameplay of Ico, but he also wanted it to be set in a zombie apocalypse that was kind of inspired by Night of the Living Dead. Unfortunately, this idea wouldn't go very far as he submitted it in some student competitions while in college but didn't win anything. But this would be revisited later down the road, and he would try to produce this as a comic, wanting to issue 6 volumes, and he called it The Turning. Unfortunately, that also got shut down by an indie publisher. Jumping several years in the future, Neil Druckmann is now working at Naughty Dog, and he's going to pitch this as a video game instead of a comic. The title of this game was Mankind, and the idea was the zombie apocalypse would only be turning women into zombies, and there was a man who found the only immune woman in the world, and he'd be protecting her so that they could find a vaccine to save all of the world. This would later be revised into what is The Last of Us. In 2009, production will begin on The Last of Us right after the release of Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. Now, this would be the first time the studio Naughty Dog was split into 2 teams having 2 projects going on at the same time. One group led by Bruce Straley and Neil Druckmann worked on The Last of Us, while the other group was focusing on Uncharted 3. The Last of Us, the central focus of development would revolve around the 2 main characters, Joel and Ellie. Everything else around the game was completely built around the core of these 2 characters, including development of gameplay, combat, and narrative. Joel and Ellie would be played by the legends Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, and throughout the voice capture and motion capture of these characters, they played a pivotal role in the refinement of these characters for the game. Naughty Dog would overhaul their game engine to enhance things like lighting and character animations to really get the realism that they were looking for the game. For the infection and virus of the enemies in the game, they wanted to create something that was differentiated from typical zombies that you found in a zombie apocalypse. They wanted to find something that had more realism, something that felt more grounded. So they did extensive research on something called the cordyceps fungus, which, if you didn't know that, it's actually a real thing. The cordyceps virus, it's real. It just doesn't affect humans. Like, oh, what the fuck? For the music, they decided to go with composer Gustavo Santaolalla. Gustavo would create the acclaimed soundtrack for The Last of Us, which would heavily impact the tone and the emotional depth of the game. The Last of Us was finally announced in 2011 with high anticipation, but unfortunately, they would miss their original release date for further polishing to fix and create the perfect game. It would then release in 2013 to high critical success and commercial success. Now you know where The Last of Us came from and how it developed into the first game. If you want me to talk about the second game, remember to like, comment, and share with your friends so that you can tell them